The vibrant intergalactic market pulsed with life, a cacophony of sounds and sights that filled every corner of the vast space. Street vendors from countless species shouted out their wares, their voices merging into a thrilling symphony of haggling, laughter, and the occasional screech of an alien animal. Brightly colored stalls adorned the marketplace, each one overflowing with exotic foods, strange fruits, and delicacies that Alex Rodriguez had never seen before. As a human street vendor, Alex felt like a fish out of water. He stood behind his small stall, which was a modest setup compared to the elaborate displays of his alien counterparts. The air was thick with the scent of alien spices, both tempting and intimidating. The aromas were a mix of sweet and savory, some even a bit pungent, a reminder of the culinary worlds that surrounded him. Yet, despite the chaos, he found it hard to attract customers. The locals seemed far more interested in the vibrant colors and exotic offerings of his competitors. With a deep breath, Alex arranged his own dishes, a selection of earth-inspired street food, including spicy tacos, savory empanadas, and sweet churros. Each dish was carefully crafted, made with the best ingredients he could find in the market. He hoped that the familiar smells of home might draw in some curious customers. Leaning over his stall, he tried to call out to potential buyers, but his voice barely rose above the din of the market. As he looked around, he couldn't help but feel a pang of loneliness. Most of the other vendors were busy chatting and laughing with their customers, while Alex struggled to connect with anyone. He was an outsider in this vibrant tapestry of cultures, and the isolation weighed heavily on him. The alien species that filled the market had their own unique customs and languages, making it challenging for him to bridge the gap. Despite his efforts to smile and engage, he often felt invisible. In the midst of this vibrant chaos, he thought about his life leading up to this moment. He had left Earth with dreams of adventure and exploration, but the reality of being a street vendor in an alien market was different than he had imagined. He missed the familiarity of his home, the sounds of the city, the smells of home-cooked meals, and the comforting presence of friends and family. Yet, here he was, determined to make a living, to carve out a place for himself in this bustling galaxy. Just as he was about to give up hope, he noticed a flicker of movement in the crowd. A figure was approaching his stall, and as it drew closer, Alex could see it was a curious alien. This one stood out among the rest. She had vibrant blue skin, large expressive eyes, and an intricate pattern of luminescence that danced across her body. Alex felt a spark of excitement, perhaps this would be his first customer. "Hello," he called out, trying to infuse his voice with enthusiasm. The alien tilted her head, clearly intrigued but also a little confused. Alex took a step back, giving her space while gesturing towards his food. "Tacos. Empanadas. Churros," he said, pointing at each dish. He hoped the enthusiasm in his voice would transcend any language barrier. The alien blinked, her expression shifting from curiosity to amusement as she waved her hands in a way that seemed to suggest she didn't fully understand him. But there was something in her eyes, a spark of interest that made Alex feel hopeful. He smiled wider, determined to bridge the gap between their worlds. As he began to explain the dishes further, using exaggerated gestures and simple words, he felt a connection beginning to form. The alien pointed at the tacos, her eyes lighting up as he described the combination of flavors and spices. In that moment, Alex realized he might not need words to communicate at all. The love of food was universal. "Try it," he urged, handing her a taco, still warm and fragrant from the grill. The alien took it hesitantly, bringing it closer to her mouth, and Alex held his breath as she took her first bite. The look of surprise on her face as she tasted the flavors was priceless. A smile broke across her features, and she nodded enthusiastically. Alex felt a rush of adrenaline flow through him. This was it, this was the connection he had been longing for. As she chewed, other aliens nearby started to notice, drawn in by the unusual sight of a human and an alien sharing a moment over food. Slowly, they began to gather around, seeking to understand what had caught their attention. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Alex thought, though he knew he had to focus on the moment at hand. The crowd grew, and he felt a sense of excitement building within him. He had always believed that food had a magical way of bringing people together, and now he was living proof of that. His heart raced with the energy of the moment. The more the alien tasted, the more she seemed to enjoy it, and soon, she was beckoning her friends to come and join them. As they approached, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging wash over him. For the first time since arriving in this alien market, he felt like he was becoming part of something bigger than himself. The crowd began to murmur, and soon laughter filled the air as Alex shared stories of Earth, revealing the traditions behind his dishes. The alien, whose name he learned was Zara, acted as a translator, helping to bridge the gap between languages. The atmosphere shifted from mere curiosity to shared enjoyment, and Alex found himself laughing alongside them. As the crowd grew, so did Alex's sense of belonging. In that moment, surrounded by newfound friends and the smell of sizzling food, he realized he wasn't just a lonely vendor anymore, he was part of a vibrant, diverse community. The world around him suddenly felt less chaotic and more like a tapestry woven from countless stories, all converging over a shared meal. And at that moment, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The energy in the air was palpable, and he could sense that something extraordinary was about to unfold in the market. As the vibrant crowd moved around him, Alex couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nerves. The colorful chaos of the intergalactic market enveloped him, with vendors shouting about their wares and the mixed aromas of exotic foods swirling together in the air. He glanced at his stall, filled with the familiar comfort foods from Earth: tacos, empanadas, and churros. However, it was hard to stand out amidst the kaleidoscope of alien cuisines. Just when he thought he might not have a customer today, he noticed her again, the alien with the striking blue skin and radiant luminescent patterns. She was lingering nearby, watching him with a curious expression. Gathering his courage, Alex decided to seize the moment. "Hello," he called out, his voice tinged with enthusiasm. She looked up, her large expressive eyes wide with curiosity. "Would you like to try some delicious Earth food?" He gestured toward the tacos, attempting to convey his excitement through gestures. The alien approached tentatively, tilting her head as if trying to decipher his words. Alex felt a flutter in his chest. This might be his chance to connect with someone in this vast galaxy. He pointed at the warm tacos, trying to convey their deliciousness with exaggerated movements. "Tacos. Very good. Spicy, savory." She raised an eyebrow, and Alex felt a sense of urgency. He wanted her to understand. "Try it," he urged, handing her a taco that had just been grilled to perfection. The steam still rose from it, and the aroma was mouth-watering. The alien took it cautiously, examining it with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. As she took her first bite, Alex held his breath. Moments stretched on as she chewed slowly. Then, her eyes lit up, and a huge smile broke across her face. She exclaimed, her voice melodic and full of delight. Alex couldn't help but grin back, his heart racing with excitement. This was the connection he had been waiting for. "You like it?" "I have more," he said, his voice bubbling with enthusiasm. The alien nodded vigorously and waved her friends over, calling them to join. "If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel." Alex thought to himself, but he was too absorbed in the moment to dwell on it. The crowd began to gather around his stall, intrigued by the spectacle of a human and an alien sharing food. Laughter and chatter filled the air as more curious creatures approached, eager to see what was unfolding. As more and more aliens surrounded him, Alex felt a sense of warmth spreading through him. He started explaining his dishes, weaving stories about Earth's culinary traditions, all the while Zara, he learned that was her name, translated for him. She had a knack for communicating the essence of his words, and soon they were both laughing, sharing not just food, but a piece of their worlds. The atmosphere shifted from simple curiosity to an electric energy, with laughter and joy bubbling up around them. Alex felt a sense of belonging wash over him that he hadn't experienced since arriving in this foreign market. He realized that food really could bridge gaps between cultures, and he was living proof of that idea. "Now, let me show you how to make a taco," he suggested, eager to share the joy of preparing food. He motioned for Zara to help, and she stepped forward, her enthusiasm evident. Together, they began to prepare the tacos, with Alex explaining each step and Zara mimicking his actions, much to the delight of the crowd. As they worked, more aliens joined in, trying their hands at making tacos, each adding their own unique twist to the recipe. Alex watched in amazement as his simple food brought together a diverse group of beings, each of them laughing and sharing stories of their own cultures. Look at this! Zara exclaimed, her voice bubbling over with excitement as she held up a taco filled with an array of colorful ingredients. It's beautiful! The crowd cheered, and Alex felt a swell of pride. It wasn't just about making sales anymore, it was about creating connections and a shared experience. The hustle and bustle of the market faded into the background as time flew by, and Alex found himself lost in the moment. The laughter, the sounds of haggling, and the sizzling of food created a symphony of life around him. He and Zara exchanged stories about their worlds, their struggles, and their dreams, and Alex felt that they were forging a bond deeper than he had anticipated. But as the crowd grew, he also felt a tinge of worry. What if this connection was temporary? What if the aliens lost interest in his food once the novelty wore off? He shook his head, trying to push aside the doubts. This was a moment worth savoring. Just as he was about to share another story, a loud announcement echoed through the market, interrupting the joyous atmosphere. The voice of an alien authority boomed over the noise, declaring a blockade on food imports due to rising tensions between species. Alex's heart sank as he processed the implications of the announcement. The joy that had filled the air moments ago was crushed under the weight of uncertainty and fear. Zara turned to him, her expression shifting from excitement to concern. "What does this mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It means I might lose everything," Alex replied, his heart heavy with dread. He glanced around at the gathering crowd, their faces now masked with worry. The vibrant energy had been replaced with apprehension, and he could feel the tension crackling in the air. But Zara took a step closer, her eyes filled with determination. "We can't let this happen. We must find a way to unite everyone, vendors and customers, to protest this blockade together." The fire in her words ignited something within Alex. Maybe this was the moment he was meant to embrace. Instead of surrendering to despair, they could fight back with their newfound connections. "You're right. We can do this," he exclaimed, feeling a surge of hope amidst the chaos. As they began to rally the crowd, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would stand against this blockade, not just for his business, but for the community they had started to build. The bond forged over tacos was just the beginning, and with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. As the crowd thickened around Alex's stall, excitement crackled in the air. He looked at the diverse faces before him, aliens of various shapes and sizes, their curious eyes wide with anticipation. The chaos of the market faded into a background hum as he prepared to share the culinary delights of Earth. This was no longer just a transaction, it was a chance to foster connections, to create something beautiful out of ingredients and stories. "All right, everyone. Gather around," Alex called out, his voice rising above the murmurs. The crowd leaned in, eager to hear what he had to say. "Today, I'm going to show you how to make a taco." He beamed at Zara, who stood beside him, her enthusiasm contagious. "And with Zara's help, we'll make it an intergalactic taco. Each of you can add your own twist." Zara's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let's show them what Earth tacos are all about," she exclaimed, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Alex felt a rush of adrenaline as he began to explain the process. He demonstrated how to prepare the tortillas, mixing the dough with a precision he had perfected over the years. The aroma of corn filled the air, drawing even more curious onlookers. "Now, while we're waiting for those to cook, let's talk about the fillings," Alex continued. He grabbed an assortment of ingredients from his stall: fresh tomatoes, zesty onions, and spicy peppers. In Earth cuisine, we often talk about how food tells a story. Each ingredient has a journey, just like we all do. As he spoke, he noticed Zara translating his words with an infectious energy, her hands gesturing animatedly to help convey his thoughts. The crowd was mesmerized, hanging on to every word. Laughter erupted as Alex shared a story about the first time he tried making tacos. He had ended up with flour all over his kitchen, a mess that looked more like a snowstorm than a cooking endeavor. "Food is meant to be fun, messy, and shared," he declared, and the crowd responded with applause. More aliens stepped forward, eager to join in, curious about this strange but delightful human tradition. Alex encouraged them to try their hands at his craft, guiding them with warmth and patience. "Here, you try," he said, handing a small piece of dough to a bright green alien with 3 eyes. The creature used its dexterous fingers to flatten the dough, laughter erupting from the crowd as it struggled to keep the shape round. Perfect. Just like that. Remember, it doesn't need to be perfect to be delicious. The laughter and camaraderie reminded Alex of home. He recalled the family dinners at his childhood table, where everyone contributed to the meal. It was about more than just food, it was about the connections forged over shared experiences, the stories told, and the memories created. He could feel that same spirit rising in the market, and it ignited a renewed sense of purpose within him. As more aliens joined in, each adding their unique twist to the tacos, Alex felt a swell of pride. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a taco that was bursting with brightly colored ingredients. "This is a true testament to the beauty of diversity. Each one of you brings something special to the table." The gathering crowd was no longer just a collection of curious onlookers, they were a community, united by the joy of creating something together. Zara's laughter rang out as she tried her hand at making a taco, her enthusiasm infectious. The sense of belonging grew stronger with each shared smile and playful banter. Time slipped away as Alex and Zara worked alongside the crowd, creating tacos that were as much a celebration of their cultures as they were a meal. The market buzzed with life. Alex felt his worries dissipate. This was what it meant to be part of something bigger. "Now, let's taste what we've created," Alex announced, passing around the finished tacos. "Everyone, grab a taco and let's see how our flavors blend." He watched as aliens took their first bites, their eyes lighting up with delight. "Delicious," one exclaimed in a language Alex didn't understand, but the expression of joy was universal. The laughter and excitement spread like wildfire through the crowd, and for a moment, all differences faded away. They were united by a shared experience, a simple meal that turned into a monumental moment. However, just as the atmosphere reached its peak, a loud, authoritative voice boomed across the market, interrupting the revelry. "Attention! All vendors and customers. Effective immediately, there is a blockade on food imports for the foreseeable future." The announcement silenced the crowd, tension replacing the joy that had filled the air moments before. Alex's heart sank as he processed the implications. "What does this mean?" Zara asked, confusion and dread flickering in her eyes. "It means," Alex struggled to find the words. "It means I might lose everything. My stall, my livelihood, everything I've worked for." He looked around, watching as the faces around him shifted from joy to fear. The vibrant energy that had surrounded them was now replaced by uncertainty. Zara stepped closer, her expression resolute. "We can't let this happen, Alex. We need to find a way to unite everyone here. We can't just accept this blockade." Her fierce determination sparked something within him. "You're right. We can't just stand by, we have to fight back." As the crowd murmured in concern, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was more than just about food. It was about community, about the bonds they had formed over shared stories and laughter. "Let's gather everyone, share our stories, and stand together." With Zara's fire to fuel him, Alex began to rally the crowd. They started sharing their frustrations and fears about the blockade, their voices rising in unison. It became a powerful moment of solidarity, a collective yearning to fight against the injustice they faced. "Together, we can show them that food brings us together, that we are stronger united," Alex shouted, his heart racing with adrenaline. The crowd erupted in agreement, and Alex felt hope rekindling. It was time to turn their shared experience into action, to fight for what they had built together. As the energy in the market shifted from despair to determination, Alex realized that this was just the beginning. They would not let the blockade destroy the connections they had forged over tacos and laughter. He turned to Zara, her eyes shining with excitement, and knew that together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. "Let's do this," he declared, and the crowd erupted with renewed enthusiasm. Alex felt a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in a long time, one that transcended species and backgrounds. They were all in this together, and he was ready to lead the charge. If you're enjoying this journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. As the vibrant atmosphere of the market began to settle into a rhythm, the air filled with the aroma of sizzling spices and fresh ingredients, Alex felt a wave of hope wash over him. Just moments ago, laughter and camaraderie filled the space around his stall, but that joy was abruptly interrupted by the booming announcement that echoed through the bustling market. Attention! All vendors and customers. Effective immediately, there is a blockade on food imports for the foreseeable future. The word struck like lightning, silencing the crowd, and Alex's heart dropped. He could see the immediate impact on the faces around him. Where once there were smiles and excitement, now there was a palpable sense of fear and confusion. The lively chatter faded, replaced by anxious whispers. Alex turned to Zara, who stood beside him, her expression shifting from curiosity to alarm. "What does this mean?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet laced with a mix of disbelief and dread. "It means," Alex struggled to articulate the reality of the situation. "It means I might lose everything. My stall, my livelihood, everything I've worked for." His voice cracked as he glanced around the market, witnessing the bewildered expressions of his fellow vendors. The vibrant colors and sounds of the market seemed to dim, swallowed by the weight of the announcement. Zara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder, her eyes filled with determination. "We can't let this happen, Alex. We need to find a way to unite everyone here. We can't just accept this blockade." Her fierce determination ignited a spark within him. "You're right," he replied, feeling the adrenaline start to replace his despair. "We can't just stand by, we have to fight back." As the crowd murmured in concern, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was more than just about food, it was about community and the bonds they had formed over shared stories and laughter. He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "Let's gather everyone, share our stories, and stand together." With Zara's fire fueling him, he stepped up onto a crate, raising his hands to call for attention. "Everyone! Please, listen." The crowd began to quiet down, shifting their gazes toward him. "I know this announcement has brought fear and uncertainty, but we are not alone in this. We've built something special here, an incredible community that transcends our differences. We can't let a blockade tear us apart." The murmurs of agreement began to ripple through the crowd, and Alex's heart raced. "Together, we can show them that food brings us together, that we are stronger united." His voice grew stronger, resonating with the passion he felt. Zara stepped beside him, her presence bolstering his confidence. "Let's share our frustrations and fears about this blockade. If we come together, we can make our voices heard." Encouraged by their energy, vendors stepped forward, sharing their stories. An alien vendor with iridescent skin spoke about how his family relied on their food stalls for survival. A human mother chimed in, expressing her concern for her children who had grown fond of the diverse dishes in the market. As more voices joined in, the atmosphere shifted from despair to determination. Alex felt hope rekindling as he looked around at the faces in the crowd, each one filled with a collective desire to fight against the injustice they faced. One vendor, a stout alien with multiple arms, waved his utensils in the air. "We can't let them dictate our lives. Our food is our culture." "Yes!" Alex shouted, feeling the electric energy in the air. "We need to organize a peaceful protest. We'll show them that we will not be silenced." The crowd erupted, a chorus of agreement ringing out. They began to rally, forming small groups and discussing how they could make their voices heard. Alex felt a surge of empowerment as he realized that this moment, this gathering, was just the beginning of something bigger. As they organized, Zara turned to him, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "This is it, Alex. We're building something incredible. We can show them that our community is worth fighting for." "Absolutely," he replied, adrenaline coursing through him. "We'll create banners, gather signatures, whatever it takes." The vendors began to brainstorm ideas, their voices rising in a harmonious blend of determination and hope. Alex felt a sense of belonging that he hadn't experienced in a long time, one that transcended species and backgrounds. They were all in this together, and it was invigorating. "Let's make it a feast," Zara suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can showcase our dishes and invite everyone to share in the experience. It will be a celebration of our unity." Alex's heart swelled at the idea. Yes. A grand feast. We can invite everyone in the market, and it will show the authorities just how important our food culture is. They quickly set to work, gathering supplies and organizing teams. Vendors collaborated, sharing ingredients and recipes, excitedly discussing how they could merge their culinary traditions. Laughter filled the air again, transforming the atmosphere back into one of joy and determination. Amidst the preparations, Alex found himself reflecting on how far he had come since arriving in this alien world. He had felt isolated, battling against the vibrant chaos of the market. Now, surrounded by supportive faces, he felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. He approached Zara, who was busy arranging a makeshift banner. "Thank you for believing in this, Zara. I don't think I could have done this without you." Zara paused, looking up at him with sincerity. "You've brought us all together, Alex. It's your passion for food that has united us. We're stronger as a community, and we're going to show them that." As they continued to prepare for the feast, Alex felt the warmth of camaraderie enveloping them. The energy was contagious, and hope surged through his veins. If they could come together and celebrate their diversity, perhaps they could convince the authorities to lift the blockade. "Together, we can make a difference," Alex said, his voice resolute. "Let's show them the power of our community through food. We won't back down without a fight." Zara nodded, determination radiating from her. "Let's do this. We're not just fighting for our food, we're fighting for our culture, our community, and our future." If you're enjoying this journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. As the crowd grew larger, the air filled with an electrifying energy. Alex could feel the palpable shift, a wave of determination washing over him. He turned to Zara, who stood beside him, her eyes wide with excitement. "Let's rally everyone together," he said, a fire igniting in his chest. "We need to bring our stories to the forefront. If we can show them how important our food is to our cultures, maybe they'll reconsider." Zara nodded vigorously. "Absolutely. Let's give everyone a chance to express themselves. Everyone has a story to tell about what this market means to them." Her enthusiasm was contagious, and Alex could see a spark in the eyes of the vendors around them. "All right, everyone," Alex called out, his voice rising above the murmurs. "We need to unite and share our stories. This blockade affects us all, and together, we can make our voices heard." He could feel the energy grow as more vendors stepped forward, encouraged by his words. Zara took a step forward, her presence commanding attention. "Let's talk about how this blockade impacts us. I want to hear from each of you. We're in this together." A tall alien with shimmering skin raised his hand, a nervous smile spreading across his face. "I rely on my food stall to support my family. Without sales, I don't know how we'll manage." His voice trembled slightly, but the sincerity in his words resonated with the crowd. Another vendor, a human woman with a determined look, added, "My children have grown to love the flavors from every corner of the universe. This market is where they learn about diversity and acceptance." She glanced around, encouraging others to share. As more voices joined in, the atmosphere shifted. The crowd transformed from a collection of anxious individuals into a united front. Alex felt hope rekindling within him. The stories poured out like a river, each voice adding to the chorus of determination. A stout alien vendor waved his utensils in the air. "We can't let them dictate our lives. Our food is our culture." His passionate proclamation elicited cheers from the crowd, igniting a sense of camaraderie that Alex had never felt before. "Yes!" Alex shouted, feeling the electric energy in the air. "We need to organize a peaceful protest. We'll show them that we will not be silenced." The crowd erupted in agreement, their voices rising in a harmonious blend of passion and resolve. Zara looked at him with excitement, her enthusiasm infectious. "We have to make this a celebration. A feast. We can showcase our dishes and invite everyone to share in the experience. This will be a celebration of our unity." The idea resonated deeply with Alex. "Yes. A grand feast. It will show the authorities just how important our food culture is. The prospect of a communal meal filled him with hope. They quickly set to work, gathering supplies and organizing teams. Vendors collaborated, sharing ingredients and recipes, excitedly discussing how they could merge their culinary traditions. Laughter filled the air again, transforming the atmosphere back into one of joy and determination. As they prepared, Alex approached Zara, who was busy arranging a makeshift banner. "Thank you for believing in this, Zara. I don't think I could have done this without you." Zara paused, looking up at him with sincerity. "You've brought us all together, Alex. It's your passion for food that has united us. We're stronger as a community, and we're going to show them that." As the preparations continued, Alex reflected on how far he had come since arriving in this alien world. He had felt isolated, battling against the vibrant chaos of the market. Now, surrounded by supportive faces, he felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. "Let's make this a memorable event," Alex declared, determination shining in his eyes. "We'll create banners, gather signatures, whatever it takes." The crowd buzzed with excitement as they brainstormed ideas. Vendors proposed dishes that represented their unique cultures, each one eager to contribute. "I can make my famous spicy noodles," exclaimed one vendor, while another chimed in, "I'll bring desserts from my home planet." Alex felt a sense of belonging that he hadn't experienced in a long time, one that transcended species and backgrounds. They were all in this together, and it was invigorating. "Together, we can make a difference," Alex said, his voice resolute. "Let's show them the power of our community through food. We won't back down without a fight." Zara beamed at him. "You're right. This isn't just about food, it's about our cultures, our lives, and our future." The crowd began to organize, their energy infectious. Alex felt hope surging through him. If they could come together and celebrate their diversity, perhaps they could convince the authorities to lift the blockade. "Let's do this!" Zara exclaimed. "We're not just fighting for our food, we're fighting for our culture." As the plans unfolded, Alex's heart raced at the prospect of what they were about to accomplish together. The preparations for the feast began to take shape, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The vendors worked tirelessly, chopping ingredients, stirring pots, and setting up booths. The market that had once seemed overwhelming now felt like a vibrant tapestry of cultures woven together through the art of food. Each dish prepared was a testament to the stories and struggles of those who created it. If you're enjoying this journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. Alex called out, feeling energized by the moment. As the preparations continued, laughter and chatter filled the air, transforming the market into a lively hub of creativity and collaboration. The vendors were no longer isolated in their struggles, they were united in a common goal, ready to fight for what they believed in. Zara turned to Alex as they worked side by side. "This is incredible. I never imagined we could come together like this." "Neither did I," Alex admitted, a smile spreading across his face. "But it feels right. We're more than just vendors, we're a community." As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the market, they looked around at the bustling scene. The atmosphere was electric, filled with hope and determination. "We're about to create something beautiful," Zara said, her voice filled with excitement. "Let's show them what we're made of," Alex replied, feeling the thrill of the moment. Together, they would fight not just for their livelihoods, but for a future where their cultures could thrive. With the preparations underway, and the spirit of unity igniting within them, Alex knew that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. It was more than just a protest, it was a celebration of their diversity, a feast that would resonate far beyond the market itself. As the first dishes began to take shape, Alex felt a surge of hope. They were not just cooking, they were weaving a tapestry of stories, flavors, and connections that would echo through the hearts of everyone who tasted their food. This was just the beginning, and he couldn't wait to see what would come next. As the protest began to take shape, Alex felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. He stood at the forefront, right next to Zara, as they prepared to lead a diverse crowd of vendors and customers through the bustling market. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, a heady mix of excitement and nervousness that crackled in the air like static electricity. He could see vendors from all walks of life, their faces a tapestry of determination and hope, ready to march for their cause. "Let's show them we're not just food vendors," Alex shouted, his voice ringing out above the chatter and hustle of the market. "We're a community. We have a right to share our cultures and our food." "Yes," Zara chimed in, her eyes shining with conviction. "Together, we can make them listen. We're here to celebrate our differences, not let them divide us." As they moved forward, Alex glanced around at the faces surrounding him. There were aliens of all shapes and sizes, some furry, some scaly, others with skin that shimmered like starlight. It struck him how beautiful this moment was. It was a gathering that transcended species, a celebration of unity in the face of adversity. "Leave a like to help the channel grow," he called out, hoping their message would resonate beyond the market. The crowd responded with cheers and shouts, their enthusiasm infectious. Each step they took felt like a small victory, a declaration of their right to exist side by side in this vibrant intergalactic marketplace. The path ahead led them to the central plaza, a grand space adorned with colorful banners and stalls from every corner of the galaxy. As they reached the plaza, Alex felt the weight of their mission pressing down on him. He knew there were risks involved. The alien authorities had made it clear that any form of dissent would not be tolerated. Yet, standing there, with Zara by his side and the crowd behind him, he felt a sense of courage he had never known. Suddenly, a group of alien officers emerged from the shadows, their expressions stern. Alex's heart raced as they approached, their presence radiating authority. The lead officer, a tall figure with a metallic sheen to his skin, raised his hand to silence the crowd. "Dispersing now would be wise," he warned, his voice deep and rumbling like distant thunder. "You are violating the terms of the blockade. Not if we're standing for our right to exist." Alex shouted back, surprising himself with his own boldness. The crowd murmured in agreement, fueled by his words. Zara squeezed his arm, her expression a mix of concern and pride. "Be careful, Alex," she whispered, though her eyes sparkled with admiration. The officer narrowed his eyes at Alex, clearly unimpressed by the human's defiance. "You do not understand the consequences of your actions. The blockade is necessary for the security of our territories." "Security?" Alex shot back, his passion igniting. "What about our security? This blockade threatens our livelihoods. You can't silence us." The officer hesitated, and for a moment, it seemed like the tide might turn in their favor. But then he straightened, his resolve returning. "You will face repercussions for this insolence. Return to your stalls and cease this nonsense." The crowd began to shift uneasily, the energy dissipating as fear crept in. But Alex, sensing the growing panic, took a deep breath. "We're not going anywhere," he declared, raising his voice even higher. "This is our home, and we deserve to be heard." Zara stepped forward, her voice unwavering and clear. "We are here to share our cultures and our foods. We are not enemies, we are neighbors. If you want to ensure peace, you should celebrate our diversity, not stifle it." The officer's expression softened slightly as he looked at her. "Your words are bold, but they hold no power here. Let us show you." Alex interjected, desperation mingling with determination. "Let us demonstrate the value of our cultures through food. Allow us to hold a feast in the plaza. Show the richness of our culinary traditions, and perhaps you will see that we are not a threat." The crowd erupted in agreement, their voices overlapping in a wave of support. "A feast! A feast," they chanted, the rhythm echoing through the plaza. Zara turned to Alex, eyes wide with excitement. "Do you think they'll agree?" "It's worth a shot," he replied, his heart pounding. "It's our best chance to prove our worth. If they see the joy and unity that food can bring, maybe they'll reconsider." The officer glanced at his fellow officers, who appeared to be weighing their options. It was a tense moment, and Alex felt the weight of their hopes resting on his shoulders. He took a step forward, locking eyes with the lead officer. "Please," he said, his voice softer now but filled with urgency. "Let's turn this blockade into a bridge instead. Allow us to share our meals, and maybe you'll find that peace is more powerful than fear." As the murmurs of the crowd swelled, the officer hesitated. A feast, he mused, considering the proposition. If you can gather the vendors and demonstrate the value of your foods, we will consider lifting the blockade. But be warned, any disruption will be met with swift consequences. The crowd erupted into cheers once again, relief washing over them like a tidal wave. Alex felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation as they began to disperse. "Let's get to work," he shouted, his voice filled with renewed energy. "We have a feast to prepare. Leave a like to help the channel grow," he called out again, this time with a grin plastered across his face. The atmosphere had shifted from fear to hope, and he could feel it in his bones. As they rushed back to their stalls, adrenaline surged through Alex. He and Zara quickly began organizing the vendors, discussing what dishes to prepare and how to showcase their cultures effectively. It was a hectic flurry of activity, but it felt exhilarating. Each vendor was ready to contribute, eager to play their part in this monumental event. "Let's create dishes that represent our stories," Zara suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. "We should have flavors from every planet represented here." "I can get my hands on some fresh jalapenos for a spicy salsa," called out one vendor, his voice brimming with excitement. "Count me in for some sweet pastries from my home world," chimed in another, bouncing on his toes. As they brainstormed, Alex felt his heart swell with pride. This was more than just a protest, it was a celebration of their humanity and their cultures. He couldn't wait to see the feast come to life, a tapestry of flavors and stories woven together in a way that no blockade could ever break. "Let's show them what we're made of," Alex shouted, a sense of unity coursing through him. "We're not just fighting for food, we're fighting for our identities." Zara nodded, determination etched on her face. "And we'll make sure they remember this day." With renewed purpose, they set to work, the vibrant colors and sounds of the market enveloping them as they prepared for what would be a day to remember, a day when food would unite them all in the face of adversity. As the tension in the air thickened, Zara took a deep breath, stepping forward with a confidence that surprised even herself. The lead officer towered over the crowd, his stern expression contrasting sharply with the anxious faces surrounding him. "This blockade is necessary," he insisted, his voice echoing through the plaza. "You are all causing unrest." Zara squared her shoulders, her heart racing, but she knew she had to speak up. "We are not causing unrest, we are seeking understanding." Her voice rang clear, cutting through the murmurs of uncertainty. Food is not just sustenance, it is culture, history, and community. We are here to share that, not to create conflict. The officer raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback by her passion. "Your words are bold," he retorted, "but what power do they hold against the laws of our society?" Alex, standing beside Zara, felt a surge of determination. "Let us show you," he interjected, his voice steady. "Let us demonstrate the value of our cultures through food. Allow us to hold a feast in the plaza. Let us come together and show that we are more than just our differences." The crowd erupted in a chorus of agreement, their voices rising like a wave. "A feast! A feast," they chanted, their energy palpable, pushing back against the weight of the officer's presence. Zara turned to Alex, her eyes wide with excitement. "Do you really think they will agree?" "It's worth a shot," Alex replied, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. "If they see the joy and unity that food can bring, maybe they'll reconsider." The officer glanced at his fellow officers, who were whispering among themselves, weighing their options. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, and Alex felt the weight of their collective hopes resting heavily on his shoulders. He took a step closer to the lead officer, locking eyes with him. "Please," he urged, his voice lowering but filled with urgency, "let's turn this blockade into a bridge instead. Allow us to share our meals, and maybe you'll find that peace is more powerful than fear." Zara nodded in agreement, her expression earnest. "We come from different worlds, but we can find common ground. Food has a way of bringing people together. Let us show you how." The officer hesitated, glancing around at the diverse group gathered before him. "A feast," he mused, considering the proposal carefully. "If you can gather the vendors and demonstrate the value of your foods, I will consider lifting the blockade. But be warned, any disruption will be met with swift consequences." The crowd erupted into cheers, relief washing over them like a wave. Alex felt his pulse quicken as the realization of what they had just achieved sank in. "Let's get to work," he shouted, his voice filled with renewed energy. "We have a feast to prepare." Zara beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. "Leave a like to help the channel grow," she called out, her excitement lifting the spirits of those around her. The fear that had previously plagued the crowd began to dissipate, replaced by hope and determination. As they rushed back to their stalls, adrenaline surged through Alex. He and Zara quickly began organizing the vendors, discussing what dishes to prepare and how to showcase their cultures effectively. It was a hectic flurry of activity, but it felt exhilarating. Each vendor was ready to contribute, eager to play their part in this monumental event. "Let's create dishes that represent our stories," Zara suggested, her enthusiasm evident in her voice. "We should have flavors from every planet represented here." "I can get my hands on some fresh jalapenos for a spicy salsa," called out one vendor, his voice brimming with excitement. "Count me in for some sweet pastries from my home world," chimed in another, bouncing on his toes. As they brainstormed, Alex felt his heart swell with pride. This was more than just a protest, it was a celebration of their humanity and their cultures. He couldn't wait to see the feast come to life, a tapestry of flavors and stories woven together in a way that no blockade could ever break. "Let's show them what we're made of," Alex shouted, a sense of unity coursing through him. "We're not just fighting for food, we're fighting for our identities." Zara nodded, determination etched on her face. "And we'll make sure they remember this day." With renewed purpose, they set to work. The vibrant colors and sounds of the market enveloped them as they prepared for what would be a day to remember, a day when food would unite them all in the face of adversity. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the bustling market, Alex could see the energy shift. Vendors were collaborating, sharing recipes and ideas, laughter and chatter filling the air. The smells of cooking wafted through the plaza, a tantalizing preview of the feast to come. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. "Hey, can you help me with these spices?" called out a vendor from a nearby stall, his arms full of colorful ingredients. "I want to make sure my dish has the right kick." "Of course," Alex replied, rushing over to lend a hand. As they worked side by side, he marveled at how they were all coming together, each vendor contributing their unique touch to the feast. It was a beautiful display of cooperation that transcended their differences. Zara was busy at her stall, carefully arranging the dishes they had planned. She looked up and smiled at Alex, her excitement infectious. "This is going to be amazing. We're really doing this." Alex nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "Yeah, and it's all thanks to everyone here. We're showing them that together, we can create something beautiful." As they continued working, a sense of camaraderie settled over the crowd, and the barriers that once separated them began to fade. It was a moment of unity that felt almost surreal, and Alex allowed himself to envision the feast as a turning point not just for their community, but for their shared futures. "Let's keep the momentum going," he shouted, rallying the vendors. "We're not just cooking, we're sending a message." The crowd responded with cheers, their spirits high and voices loud. Alex felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. They were all in this together, united in purpose and passion. And as they prepared for the feast that would showcase their cultures, he knew they were building something far more significant than just a meal. They were crafting a narrative of hope and resilience. With the sun dipping below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the market, Alex took a moment to appreciate how far they had come. This was not just a feast, it was a celebration of their right to exist, to share, and to thrive in a community that embraced diversity. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The best was yet to come, and he couldn't wait to see the joy that their hard work would bring. The day of the feast had finally arrived, and the once chaotic intergalactic market now buzzed with an exhilarating energy, transformed into a vibrant celebration of food and culture. Brightly colored banners hung between stalls, each one representing the distinct flavors and traditions of the diverse vendors. The air was thick with the intoxicating aromas of sizzling meats, fresh vegetables, and exotic spices, each scent telling a story of its origin, inviting the passers-by to indulge in a culinary adventure. Alex stood at his stall, heart racing with anticipation. He had never felt so alive, so connected to everyone around him. The preparations had been a whirlwind of activity, each vendor pouring their heart and soul into their dishes, determined to showcase the culinary tapestry that defined their community. This is it, he thought, glancing over at Zara, who was arranging a stunning display of her own creations. There were vibrant salads, steaming pastries, and colorful sauces, all waiting to be savored by the eager crowd. "Are you ready for this?" Zara asked, her eyes shining with excitement. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Alex found himself smiling back at her, the tension of the previous days melting away. "I've never been more ready in my life," he replied, a sense of pride swelling within him. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting a golden glow over the marketplace, vendors began to gather at the plaza, each bringing their unique dishes. Alex watched as they exchanged recipes, shared cooking tips, and even combined ingredients to create something entirely new. It was a beautiful spectacle of cooperation, one that transcended their differences and brought them together for a common cause. "Hey Alex! Can you help me with this?" called out one of the vendors, a tall alien with bright green skin and 4 arms, struggling to balance bowls of sauce. "I need a hand with the spicy mix for my dish." "Of course." Alex rushed over, eager to lend a hand. As they worked side by side, the sounds of laughter and chatter filled the air, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie that was both exhilarating and heartwarming. Each vendor had a story to tell, and as they shared their journeys, Alex felt a sense of belonging that he hadn't experienced since coming to this alien world. Zara popped her head over the stall, excitement radiating from her. "Look at how many people are gathering! This is going to be incredible!" She gestured toward a growing crowd, a mix of aliens and humans, all drawn in by the scents wafting through the air. It was a sight to behold, a testament to the power of food to unite even the most diverse of beings. As the crowd continued to swell, the energy shifted. People began to mingle, sampling dishes and exchanging compliments. Alex felt a surge of hope. This was more than just a feast, it was a demonstration of their resilience and unity in the face of adversity. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The best was yet to come, and he couldn't wait to see the joy that their hard work would bring. "Okay everyone, let's get ready," Alex called out, signaling for everyone to gather around. "It's time to show them what we can do." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing through the market, creating a symphony of excitement that filled the air. As he stood there, Alex felt a connection with each person around him. They were all part of something much larger, united not just by the food they were preparing, but by their shared experiences and dreams. This was their moment to shine, to show the world that they were more than just vendors, they were storytellers, artists, and friends. With the crowd now fully engaged, Alex began to share the story behind his dishes. He talked about his grandmother's recipes, passed down through generations, and how each meal was a celebration of family and love. Zara translated his words, her voice ringing with enthusiasm, and as she spoke, the crowd leaned in closer, captivated by the narrative that unfolded through Alex's passion for food. Laughter erupted as he recounted his first disastrous attempts at cooking, the burnt meals, and the kitchen disasters. "And I can't forget the time I almost set my apartment on fire while trying to make pasta," he said, eliciting roars of laughter from the crowd. The connection between them deepened, each shared story weaving a thread of familiarity and warmth among the diverse group. Just as the atmosphere reached a peak of joy, a sudden shadow loomed over the plaza. Alex's heart sank as he recognized the alien authorities arriving, their expressions stern and unyielding. The excitement in the crowd faltered, and he could feel the tension rising in the air. The authorities had come to observe the feast, and he knew that their decision could make or break the day. "Stay strong," Zara whispered, squeezing his hand reassuringly. He nodded, drawing strength from her presence. This was their moment. They had poured their hearts into this feast, and they couldn't let fear overshadow their hard work. "Welcome, esteemed authorities," Alex called out, forcing a smile despite the flutter of anxiety in his stomach. "We invite you to join us in celebrating the rich tapestry of cultures represented here through our food." His voice rang out with determination, and he could see the authorities exchanging glances, their expressions shifting slightly. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Alex felt a renewed sense of hope. They were standing together, united not just in their love for food, but in their desire for understanding and acceptance. The feast was more than just a meal, it was a declaration of their right to exist, to share their stories, and to celebrate their unique identities. With each passing moment, the atmosphere shifted from one of apprehension to one of celebration. Alex took a deep breath and prepared to showcase the dishes with Zara by his side. They were ready to show the authorities the true power of unity through food. As they began to serve the first dishes, Alex felt a thrill of excitement. The vibrant colors of the food mirrored the diversity of the crowd, and he knew that this was just the beginning. They were about to embark on a journey that would change everything. He glanced at Zara, who was beaming with pride, and he couldn't help but smile back. Together, they were about to make history. The day of the feast arrived, and the market transformed into a vibrant celebration of food and culture. Alex looked around, taking in the sights and sounds. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the air was thick with the tantalizing aromas of various dishes being prepared. Laughter and chatter filled the space as vendors set up their stalls, each showcasing their unique culinary creations. Here, the essence of intergalactic unity was alive, and Alex felt a sense of purpose swell within him. As he arrived early to his stall, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow on everything. Zara was already there, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "More than ready," Alex replied, his nerves settling. He began arranging the dishes he had prepared the night before, spicy tacos filled with seasoned meat, fresh guacamole, and vibrant salsa. Each dish told a story from his home on Earth, and he was eager to share those stories with the crowd. "Let's make this a day to remember," Zara exclaimed, grabbing a handful of colorful spices. She sprinkled them over a pot of stew, her movements graceful and confident. "This is going to be a feast unlike any other." As the sun climbed higher, the market buzzed with energy. Vendors shouted their offerings, and the crowd began to gather. Alex felt a thrill of anticipation. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The best was yet to come, and he couldn't wait to see the joy their hard work would bring. With the crowd now fully engaged, Alex began to share the story behind his dishes. He talked about his grandmother's recipes, passed down through generations, and how each meal was a celebration of family and love. Zara translated his words, her voice ringing with enthusiasm, and as she spoke, the crowd leaned in closer, captivated by the narrative that unfolded through Alex's passion for food. "Did you know that tacos originated in Mexico?" he continued, gesturing with a ladle. "They're not just food, they're a way of life. Each bite carries a piece of my culture." The crowd nodded, intrigued. Laughter erupted as he recounted his first disastrous attempts at cooking, the burnt meals, and the kitchen disasters. "And I can't forget the time I almost set my apartment on fire while trying to make pasta," he said, eliciting roars of laughter from the crowd. The connection between them deepened, each shared story weaving a thread of familiarity and warmth among the diverse group. Just as the atmosphere reached a peak of joy, a sudden shadow loomed over the plaza. Alex's heart sank as he recognized the alien authorities arriving, their expressions stern and unyielding. The excitement in the crowd faltered, and he could feel the tension rising in the air. The authorities had come to observe the feast, and he knew that their decision could make or break the day. "Stay strong," Zara whispered, squeezing his hand reassuringly. He nodded, drawing strength from her presence. This was their moment. They had poured their hearts into this feast, and they couldn't let fear overshadow their hard work. "Welcome, esteemed authorities," Alex called out, forcing a smile despite the flutter of anxiety in his stomach. "We invite you to join us in celebrating the rich tapestry of cultures represented here through our food." His voice rang out with determination, and he could see the authorities exchanging glances, their expressions shifting slightly. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Alex felt a renewed sense of hope. They were standing together, united not just in their love for food, but in their desire for understanding and acceptance. The feast was more than just a meal, it was a declaration of their right to exist, to share their stories, and to celebrate their unique identities. With each passing moment, the atmosphere shifted from one of apprehension to one of celebration. Alex took a deep breath and prepared to showcase the dishes with Zara by his side. They were ready to show the authorities the true power of unity through food. The first dish was ready, and Alex ladled a generous portion of his spicy stew into a bowl. He handed it to a young alien child, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Try this. It's called chili verde. It has a little kick to it," he said, grinning. The child took a cautious bite, her face lighting up with delight. "It's delicious," she exclaimed, and her parents smiled, encouraging her to take another taste. Alex felt a surge of pride. This was what it was all about, sharing flavors, sparking joy, and breaking down barriers. As they continued to serve the food, the atmosphere grew more vibrant. The crowd mingled, with humans and aliens exchanging recipes and cooking tips, laughter echoing through the market. It was a scene Alex had only dreamed of, a harmonious blend of cultures united by the universal language of food. "Look at them," Zara said, her eyes shining as she observed the crowd. "This is what we wanted. This is why we fought against the blockade." "Yes," Alex replied, feeling a swell of emotion. "This is more than just a feast. It's a testament to our resilience." He glanced around, noting how people from different species were now chatting, sharing dishes, and laughing together. As the crowd gathered around, Alex felt a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in a long time. Each laugh and smile was a reminder that they were not just isolated individuals in an alien world, they were part of a larger community, connected through the simple act of sharing a meal. "Leave a like to help the channel grow," he thought, hoping this moment would inspire others to embrace differences and build connections. Then, as they began to serve the final dish, a vibrant fruit salad adorned with exotic fruits from different planets, the atmosphere shifted once more. The alien authorities watched closely, their expressions unreadable. But instead of fear, Alex felt determination coursing through him. This was his chance to show them the power of unity. He stepped forward, raising his voice above the chatter. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed authorities, today we celebrate not just food, but the bonds that tie us together regardless of our origins. When we come together to share our cultures, we create something beautiful." The crowd erupted in applause. Zara cheered alongside them, and Alex's heart soared. This was it. They were about to showcase the true essence of their gathering, a vibrant tapestry of flavors and stories that transcended species and borders. As the feast continued, the alien authorities began to soften. They exchanged glances, and Alex could see a flicker of interest in their eyes. This was the power of food, it could bridge gaps, foster understanding, and create a sense of belonging. With every dish served, Alex felt a growing hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, today would mark an important turning point. It was more than just a meal, it was a chance to rewrite their story, to show that unity could triumph over division. Together, they were ready to make history, one delicious bite at a time. As the feast unfolded, the atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and the sounds of clinking dishes. The vibrant colors of the food, a tapestry of alien and human culinary traditions, created a visual feast that matched the one being served. The sweet aroma of roasted fruits mingled with the heartiness of Alex's spicy stew, making the air feel alive. Alex stood at the center of it all, his heart racing with excitement and pride. He had envisioned this moment, but seeing it come to life was something beyond his wildest dreams. "Can you believe this?" Zara said, her eyes sparkling as she watched the crowd. "We've created something beautiful here." "Yes. It's incredible." Alex responded, feeling a surge of warmth as he watched children running around, their laughter mixing with the chatter of adults exchanging stories and recipes. This was more than just food, it was a celebration of unity. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, he thought, wishing for others to witness this moment of connection. As they continued to serve the dishes, each bowl handed out was met with smiles and grateful faces. Alex ladled another serving of his famous chili into a bowl and handed it to a tall, green-skinned alien who looked skeptical. "You won't regret this," he assured the alien, and after a hesitant first bite, the alien's eyes lit up with delight. "It's amazing," the alien exclaimed, and soon others began lining up to try the dish. Alex felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. Each satisfied smile was a reminder of why he had fought so hard against the blockade. This was their moment to shine, to show the world that different cultures could coexist and thrive together. Let's make sure everyone gets a taste of everything, Zara suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. How about we set up a little tasting station over there? She pointed to a clearing that had just opened up as people began to gather around the food stalls. With a nod, Alex began organizing the dishes, explaining their origins and the stories behind each one. This is my grandmother's recipe for chile, he said, sharing its history with a group of curious aliens who gathered around. She always said food brings people together. I think she was onto something. Laughter erupted around him, and the atmosphere felt charged with a joyous energy. As the crowd grew, Alex felt a sense of belonging that had eluded him since he arrived in this strange market. He was no longer just a human street vendor, he was part of a community, a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Leave a like to help the channel grow, he thought again, hoping that this moment would inspire others to embrace diversity just as they had done today. Zara was busy at another station, engaged in animated conversation with a group of aliens who were intrigued by her favorite dish, a spicy alien curry. It's made with ingredients that can only be found on my home planet, she explained, her hands gesturing enthusiastically. The flavors are unique, just like our cultures. The aliens listened with rapt attention, their expressions shifting from curiosity to admiration. Meanwhile, Alex noticed a few of the alien authorities hovering at the edge of the gathering, observing the festivities with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. He felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach. Would they be impressed by the unity on display, or would they see this as a challenge to their authority? Just as he began to worry, the lead authority stepped forward. We've been observing this gathering, he announced, his voice booming over the crowd. The chatter hushed, and all eyes turned towards him. We see the joy and unity that food can bring. It's impressive. Relief washed over Alex. Perhaps they were beginning to understand. This is what we wanted to show you, he said, stepping forward. Food is not just sustenance, it's a connection between us all. It tells stories, it shares histories, and it builds bridges. The authority nodded slowly, and Alex felt hope blossom within him. Maybe this was the moment they had all been waiting for, the chance to demonstrate the true value of diversity and cooperation. As the crowd erupted into applause, Zara joined Alex's side, her face lit up with pride. We did this together, she said softly, her eyes shining with emotion. Our cultures are thriving side by side, and it feels amazing. Yes, it does, Alex replied, feeling the warmth of their shared victory. He glanced around at the diverse crowd, each individual engaged in conversations, trying new foods, and making connections. The energy was palpable, and Alex couldn't help but think of how far they had come. As the feast continued, Alex shared more stories behind the dishes being served, weaving narratives that captivated the audience. This one is a family secret, he said with a wink, serving a rich, creamy dessert that was a blend of various alien sweets. I can't tell you the recipe, but I can promise it'll make you smile. The crowd laughed, and the dessert disappeared quickly as people clamored for more. The joy was infectious, and Alex felt a deep sense of fulfillment. It was a celebration of cultures, of humanity, and of the power of food to bring people together, breaking down barriers that had once seemed insurmountable. Just as the atmosphere reached its peak, a sudden commotion arose at the edge of the gathering. A group of dissenters, their expressions stern and disapproving, began shouting. This is a waste of resources. You should be focusing on the real issues at hand, not wasting time with this frivolity. Alex's heart sank. This was not what he wanted to deal with during such a special day. The laughter dimmed as people turned their heads, their expressions shifting from joy to confusion. Zara squeezed his arm, and he could see the fear mirrored in her eyes. He took a deep breath, stepping forward to face the dissenters. This is not frivolity, he said, his voice steady as he addressed the crowd. This is connection. This is understanding. This is what we need in times like these. Zara stood beside him, her presence a comforting reminder of their shared journey. Food has the power to heal divisions, she added, her voice strong. We are here to show our support for one another, to share our experiences and to create something beautiful. Alex could feel the crowd rallying behind them, a wave of support washing over the dissenters' negativity. Comment what your favorite moment was and turn on notifications, he thought, wishing to capture this moment of unity and resilience. The dissenters hesitated as the crowd began to murmur in agreement, their voices rising in a chorus of support for the feast and the connections being made. Alex felt the tide turning. The energy shifted from fear to solidarity as the crowd stood together, united in their shared love for food and community. As the dissident voices faded, Alex felt a surge of hope. They were making a statement, a declaration that they would not be silenced or divided. They would celebrate their differences, embracing the rich tapestry of cultures that made up their community, one delicious bite at a time. The tension in the air was palpable as the dissenters continued to shout their objections, their voices cutting through the joyful atmosphere of the feast like a knife. Alex stood firm, feeling the weight of the moment pressing heavily upon his shoulders. He could see the nervousness in the faces of the crowd, a mixture of confusion and concern as they glanced between him and the group trying to disrupt the celebration. But just as fear began to creep in, he felt a surge of determination rising within him. "Everyone," he called out, raising his hands to draw attention. "This is not just food, it's a celebration of who we are. It's about unity, understanding, and sharing stories from our different worlds." The crowd began to murmur, and Alex pressed on, "Let's not let fear divide us. We've come together to share our cultures, and that's something worth fighting for." Zara stepped forward, standing beside him with unwavering confidence. "We're not just vendors or customers," she declared, her voice ringing clear above the dissenters. "We're a community. Food is how we connect, how we learn from each other. Instead of tearing us apart, let's embrace the differences that make us stronger." The crowd started to shift, their expressions changing from fear to resolve. Alex could see his neighbors nodding in agreement, their eyes reflecting a newfound determination. Leave a like to help the channel grow, he thought, recognizing the importance of this pivotal moment and wanting to capture its essence for others to see. The dissenters faltered, their shouts losing momentum as they found themselves facing a united front. People began to step forward, sharing their own stories, recounting their experiences of isolation and acceptance in this diverse market. "I remember the first time I tried Earth food," one alien remarked, his voice a mix of nostalgia and fondness. "It was different, but it opened my eyes to flavors I had never imagined." "Exactly," Alex exclaimed, feeling the energy of the crowd building. "We all have something unique to offer. We can celebrate that today, right here, right now." In that moment of connection, the crowd began chanting softly at first, "Unity. Unity." The sound grew, reverberating through the market, drowning out the dissenters. Alex felt an exhilarating rush as he realized that they were not just defending their feast, they were affirming their identities. As the chanting intensified, Alex spotted the alien authorities watching from a distance, their expressions unreadable. Would they see this as a threat or as an opportunity to understand the bonds formed in this marketplace? He couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. If anyone could appreciate the power of shared meals, it would be them. The dissenters, feeling the tide turning against them, attempted to shout louder. "You're wasting your time. This is pointless," they cried, but their voices were drowned out by the overwhelming chorus of support. "Unity. Unity" echoed through the square, creating a powerful sense of solidarity that Alex had never felt before. Then, as if sensing the shifting dynamics, Zara stepped forward, her expression fierce and passionate. "Let me speak," she called out, raising her voice above the crowd. There was a moment of silence, and everyone turned to her, curiosity and anticipation hanging in the air. Zara took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the crowd. "We are here today not just as vendors or customers but as friends, as family. Each dish on this table represents a story, a culture, a journey. We stand together, not only to feed our bodies but to nourish our spirits." The crowd was captivated, hanging on her every word. "The food we share is not just sustenance, it's a bridge between us," she continued, her voice growing stronger. "It teaches us empathy, compassion, and understanding. When we taste something unfamiliar, we open ourselves to new experiences. We grow, we learn, and we become better together." Alex felt a swell of pride as he watched her speak. This was the moment they had been fighting for, the chance to showcase the beauty of their diversity and the strength of their unity. He glanced around at the crowd, seeing faces illuminated with hope and determination. The alien authorities exchanged glances, and Alex could see their expressions begin to soften. Perhaps they, too, were starting to understand the significance of what was happening. This wasn't just a feast, it was a statement. It was a celebration of life, love, and the incredible tapestry of cultures that made up their community. As Zara concluded her speech, the crowd erupted into applause and cheers. "Leave a like to help the channel grow," echoed in Alex's mind, reflecting the energy of the moment. He could sense the shift in the air, the realization that they were making a difference. Just then, one of the authorities stepped forward, raising a hand for silence. The crowd quieted, anticipation hanging heavily. "We have been watching this gathering," the authority said, his voice steady and authoritative. "And we see the joy and unity that food can bring. It's impressive." Alex's heart raced. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. What will it take for the blockade to be lifted, he thought, praying for a favorable answer. The authority continued, "While we cannot ignore the concerns that led to the blockade, we acknowledge the power of what you've demonstrated here today. If you can show us the value of your diverse foods and how they enrich our society, we may reconsider our stance." A cheer erupted from the crowd, and Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was it, their chance to turn the tide. They could showcase the importance of cultural exchange through food, and perhaps, just perhaps, change the course of their future. Zara turned to Alex, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can do this. We have to prepare a feast that shows everyone what we're capable of," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm contagious. "Yes. A grand feast that highlights every culture present here," Alex agreed, feeling the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "We'll need everyone's help. Let's show them the power of unity." As the crowd buzzed with energy, Alex felt a sense of relief mingled with anticipation. They had come together to fight for their rights, and now they would unite again to showcase their cultures through the joy of food. This was more than just a meal, it was a celebration of everything they had fought for. Comment what your favorite moment was and turn on notifications, he thought, fully aware that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. The community was coming alive, and together, they would show the world what it truly meant to share a table. The crowd's chants of unity. Unity filled the air as Alex and Zara stood at the forefront of this unexpected movement. They had transformed the market square into a vibrant tapestry of cultures, each thread woven together by shared experiences and the love of food. The dissenters, once loud and defiant, now stood at the fringes, their voices drowned out by the overwhelming support from the community. The atmosphere pulsed with energy, hope, and purpose, as if every heart was beating in sync. Alex looked out at the sea of faces, a mix of humans and aliens, all united for a common cause. He felt a swell of pride in his chest. This was no longer just about him and his stall. It was about everyone who had ever felt marginalized, overlooked, or silenced. The power of food had brought them together, and now they were ready to show the authorities the beauty of their diversity. "Let's show them what we can do," Alex shouted, his voice rising above the crowd. The people responded with cheers, their enthusiasm infectious. He turned to Zara, who wore a determined expression on her face. "We need to get everyone involved. This feast has to be epic." "Absolutely," Zara replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "If we each bring a dish that represents our culture, we can create something truly special." With those words, they began to organize. Vendors from every corner of the market stepped forward, eager to participate. The baker brought fresh loaves of bread, the spice merchant contributed exotic seasonings, and the chef from the nearby restaurant offered to prepare a traditional dish. Each vendor shared stories, recipes, and laughter, as they began to dream up a menu that would showcase the rich tapestry of culinary traditions present in their community. "Leave a like to help the channel grow," Alex thought, aware that they were not just creating a feast but also an experience that would leave a mark not only on their lives but on the entire market. As the preparations unfolded, the atmosphere shifted from one of tension and uncertainty to joy and camaraderie. They laughed together, sharing anecdotes, and savoring little tastes from each other's dishes. The air was filled with the aromas of baking bread, sizzling meats, and the sweet scent of fruits being sliced. It was a sensory explosion, one that drew in curious onlookers and turned the market into a festival of flavors. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the square, the grand feast was finally ready. Long tables were set up, adorned with colorful tablecloths and decorated with flowers from various alien worlds. Each dish was a testament to the hard work and dedication of the community, a reflection of their unique identities united under a common cause. Alex stepped back for a moment, taking it all in. This was more than just a meal, it was a celebration of unity and resilience. Zara stood beside him, her expression one of awe. "Can you believe how far we've come?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "It's incredible," Alex replied, a smile spreading across his face. "We're doing this together, and it feels right." He glanced around, seeing families, friends, and strangers gathered around the tables, sharing stories and laughter. It filled him with warmth to witness this sense of belonging. As the feast commenced, people gathered around the tables, plates piled high with food from various cultures. Alex took a moment to introduce each dish, explaining their origins and significance. Zara translated for him, her enthusiasm infectious, as she shared his words with the crowd. Together, they created an atmosphere of joy and connection, bridging gaps that had long existed. Comment what your favorite moment was and turn on notifications. Alex thought, excited at the prospect of sharing this experience with a broader audience. But just as the festivities reached a joyful peak, the alien authorities arrived, standing at the edge of the square. Alex's heart sank at the sight of them, but he quickly reminded himself of the strength of the community surrounding him. They had come together for a purpose, and he refused to let fear overshadow their achievements. One of the authorities stepped forward, his expression unreadable. The crowd quieted, anticipation thick in the air. Alex felt a mix of anxiety and hope, unsure of what the authorities would say. "We have been observing," the authority began, his voice steady. "And while we cannot ignore the concerns that led to the blockade, we are impressed by the display of unity and culture that you have created here today." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a wave of cautious optimism. "Your ability to come together, to celebrate your differences through food, is commendable. It speaks to the heart of what it means to coexist peacefully." The authority paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle in. Alex held his breath as the authority continued, "We will officially lift the blockade, but only if you can demonstrate the continued value of this cooperation." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Alex's heart soared with relief and joy. They had done it. Zara squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with pride. "We can keep this spirit alive. We need to show them that this isn't just a one-time event." "Yes!" Alex exclaimed, feeling the energy of the crowd wash over him. "We can make this a regular occurrence. A celebration of our cultures, our stories, and our food." As the cheers of the crowd filled the square, Alex took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. This journey had begun with a simple lunch but had blossomed into something extraordinary. They had forged friendships, built bridges, and shown the power of unity in diversity. As the evening wore on, filled with laughter, food, and music, Alex felt a profound sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. He had found his place in this eclectic market, surrounded by friends who were now family. This was their victory, a testament to the power of coming together over a shared meal. The night ended with a beautiful display of lights, illuminating the square. In that moment, Alex knew they had created something lasting, a legacy of unity that would echo through the market for years to come. Together, they had shown that food could indeed bridge divides, and with that understanding, the future looked brighter than ever.